will kind of come and talk with different students, kind of encourage them to join the apprenticeship program. But yeah, that's just me.
Thank you very much, Princess. And yes, please do share everything in the chat space, and we'll record everything, of course, and make sure that we get out. And of course, being part of Cisco, part of the CBP, I'll make sure that I'm spreading it all out as well, which we have been doing. So thank you very much for that, Princess, and sharing that piece. And yeah, so you guys have heard from the wonderful Princess, and now we have Shannon from Ramp Study. Shannon, the floor is yours.
Hi guys, hope you're having a nice day and evening so far. So my name's Shannon Bristow and I work at King's College London. I'm a psychology researcher there. And myself and my colleagues are running a study at the moment called the Repeated Assessment of Mental Health in Pandemic Study, so the RAMP study for short, because the rest of it's a bit of a mouthful, let's be honest. So I'm here to speak to you today to encourage you to participate in our research. We're looking at the impact of COVID-19 on the mental health of UK residents. So we launched in April 2020, obviously when the sort of the first week of lockdown started, and we wanted to work out how COVID has affected us all. So we've had 2 rounds of funding. So we've been funded by the King's Rapid Response to Research, COVID research funding, and we were later awarded more funding to increase the diversity in our sample. So a little bit about the study. We are an online questionnaire. It takes about half an hour to do the first round of the study. We'll ask you demographic questions, employment, pandemic related questions, and mental health questions as well. And then we send you a monthly 10-minute follow-up. And we have a particular focus on recruiting participants from Black, Asian, and ethnic minority communities, because at the moment our participation rate is 95% white. And this isn't good when COVID-19 is disproportionately affecting Black and Asian communities in particular. And the research we're doing is really important to better understand why that this is happening. So to tell you a little bit about our research team, so the majority of our research team are white, and that's because there's a really bad lack of representation of Black professors in particular in academia, not just at King's, across global universities. And our team are trying really hard to tackle this by working with professors of Black and Asian ethnicities, but also hiring more people into our team to tackle this from the bottom up. But at the moment, we're looking for participants to join RAMP. So at the moment, we have 86 participants who identify as Black out of a sample of around 10,000 people. And we need at least 14 more people who identify as Black ethnicity to join RAMP in order to make sure that our findings have statistical value. So what that means is that when we do any sort of ethnic comparisons, if we don't have enough people, it will lack statistical power. So we won't be able to make any valid conclusions if there are ethnic differences between groups. And obviously we understand that we're not best placed to interpret all these findings. So we are working with people from those backgrounds when we're doing these analyses. Because as a group of white researchers, we might have unconscious biases, or we might not have the same experience. So it's really important that we do that. It's also worth noting that we are sharing our findings anonymously with the government at the moment, so Public Health in England and the Department of Health and Social Care, with the aim that our findings will be used to create some policies on mental health. And the mental health of Black and Asian groups is often overlooked in research. It's mostly the collective white voice that policies derive from. So it's really important that people like yourselves get involved, because without you, we don't really know what your experience is. So we can't make any policies or treatments or anything that might be of benefit to you and your personal experience. So to join up, it would be great if you could go to our website, the RAMP study. You can read all about us, our values, our team, what we do, and just have a read and see if you want to sign up.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for Shannon. And it's really worrying when you hear that, when the lack of kind of inclusion or involvement in that really does play a part in how policies are built for everybody else. And you're right, unconscious bias is such a big factor in determining, what rules and laws get passed.
Yeah, thanks for that, Shannon.
Honestly, thank you.
Really interesting. I'm going to sign up for that actually, because I think it's important. I wouldn't say I'm first in the line to have the vaccine, but any other support and research that can come and that we can feed into. So we put an article in our newsletter, which has gone out. So if you want more information, there's more information on our website. If you want some more, you can go to the Ramp Study website. And any of us and it doesn't hurt anyone, free. Effects moving forward. So thank you
very much. Thank you so much, Green, for that. And thank you very much for that, Shannon. Thanks so much. So please, everybody, check that out. It's in the chat, and we will, of course, be sharing all this information out on the newsletter after this session. So thank you very much. Yeah, and everybody, welcome. Thank you again, Princess and Shannon, for sharing your pieces, and welcome everybody to Spiela's live event. We're joined by two very, very special guests who I've got to know over a short period of time. So we have my friend Jermain Jackman, winner of The Voice 2014, I believe. Jermain, am I correct? 2014.
Yep, that's correct.
Cool, good. And of course, now he's kind of definitely gone more into the, I would say, political side of things now, which he will kind of explain further, and really becoming a voice for the community and an advocate for all that's good in this country, Jermain, especially for the Black community. And of course, we've got the lovely Penny James, the current CEO of Direct Line. So it's a real honor to have Penny joining us today. Penny, how are you doing?
I am really well, and I'm just really excited to be here. I met Ivan, oh gosh, only a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
So we took up a conversation after that, didn't we? So it's really great to hear you here. And just say, Princess, I love the sound of your experience. I just think that's amazing. Cisco, great company. And Shannon, if you want me to put you in touch with our BAME network, Black Network internally, then please let me know. Because you may find some people who are interested in helping you out there as well.
Thank you very much. And Shannon, just so you're aware again, that's the CEO of Direct Line, so I will definitely follow that one up.
Yes, that would be amazing. That would definitely be amazing. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So without further ado, welcome guys to the next edition of the Spiela Presents. So today will be a lot of focus on business and the community. So for those who don't know of us, so Spiela ultimately is a platform where opportunity providers and opportunity seekers meet. So funny enough, me and my team this whole week, we're due to soft launch our new website, which will be coming out in a couple of days, called spiela.co.uk. And a lot of our emphasis is on purpose and understanding and reasoning, and what does it mean to you? What does Spiela mean to our members and our community? It's easier said than done. We're kind of rattling our heads and going over everything, and we'll have a definitive answer by Monday, I believe. Shireen, did we agree on Monday or Sunday?
Let me unmute myself. Yeah, we had a good discussion, and like I said, Spiela means so much to lots of different people. We don't want to change that in any way, but we do want to have a focus. So by next week, when we do our really exciting launch, which we're really excited about, yeah, you'll see some change, and hopefully you'll notice the theme. It should be obvious, and everyone should understand what that's about. So exactly. Watch this space, guys. Watch this space.
Thank you. And for us to continue to put these events on and do these things for you guys, we need your love and support, and we need you guys to really help the community, help the website in the sense of being a part of it and contributing to it with your thoughts, feelings, emotions, and just what makes us unique is you guys, and your support really helps us go there. So thank you very much. Yeah. And yeah, so in essence, now we're just the opportunity providers where opportunity seeker meet, and we will have further definition of that next week. Yeah, as you said, professional community to opportunities that otherwise will be hard to access. And what that means, again, will be more available next week. So today, we've got two very, very special guests, as I've kept reiterating on. We have Penny James, the CEO of Direct Line. We've got Jermain Jackman, one of The Voice. And so the whole purpose of today is two people from two different kind of fields coming together to explain their successes in their fields and what it took for them to go from where they started from to where they are now. So, for me personally, I'm really looking forward to hearing their account. Having a woman in such a powerful position, having a Black male who's also in a high position of influence, I feel really does give us a good range of discussion, learning points, and also, just hopefully to be inspired by as I am as well. So, yeah, without further ado, we'd like to kick this thing off with a word from Penny and Jermain. So if you two be kind enough to introduce yourself and who you are and what you do. I'm stating the obvious. Ladies first, we'll go with Penny. Sorry, Jermain.
Well, I'm slightly nervous of competing with Jermain, who's won The Voice. I can't claim anything as exciting as that. That's just amazing, just amazing. Okay, so I thought I'd do just a couple of minutes on kind of what it is that I do and kind of what that means, and then spend a few minutes talking about how I got there and a couple of tips on what I've learned on the way, and then you'll draw out whether any of that's of interest, I'm sure. Somewhat amazingly, I've been in insurance for 25 years, probably plus a bit. Nobody wakes up deciding they want to be an insurance, person. You kind of fall into it. It's not the thing you dream of when you're 5. It's just been incredible. It's an incredible environment, a huge variety of things, which I'll touch on. I'm CEO of Direct Line. What does that mean? So it's my job basically to run the company. And in the company, there's about 10,000 people, give or take. We have about 3,000 in Bromley, some in Croydon, a few in Croydon, but mainly in Bromley, and then all over the north of England and the west of England. And I have people who do everything from actuarial and data science, who are actually the people who are predicting whether or not your car is going to crash or whether or not your house is going to burn down, and ultimately working out therefore how much insurance has got to cost, to people who mend cars. I've got 1,400 people who actually are in repair shops mending cars, and everything in between, so hugely varied. So how did I become CEO of an organization that big? Well, if I look back as a kid, I was kind of interested in maths and had no imagination. So largely I just did maths because it was easy and I didn't have any imagination. And so guess what? I went to uni and I did, maths because I didn't have any imagination. And it turns out that oh God, I don't know, somebody here is going to love maths. It turns out when you get to university level, maths is really boring because there's no people. In fact, there aren't any even numbers. There's sort of letters that pretend to be numbers. And it turns out that if you get bored, you fail. So I failed a year at university, which was kind of a bit of a shell shock, really. Because I'm unfortunate. I've never had to stress and strain, and I recognise that. So actually, just falling flat on your face is something a bit unexpected and frankly bloody good for you. So I sort of got up and dusted myself off and carried on repeated my year and got my degree, and ended up, because I haven't got any imagination, doing accountancy because that's got numbers in it and that's what you do. But it turns out in accountancy, what you can do is wander around different businesses and see what they do. And it turns out I'm quite nosy. And so that's largely what I did for 3 years. Somebody paid me to do that. Now, these days, what they describe that as is curiosity. And whenever you go for a job, one of the boxes they'll be looking to tick on you is, are you curious about the world, about yourself, about how things work? Turns out my nosiness is something that they now call curiosity, and actually stood me in great stead. And from that, I learned that I quite liked financial services because there's lots of numbers and it's a bit more, you have to put your brain around and problem solve quite a lot. And I quite like that. And frankly, I like the people. And so I spent a number of years there, in different organizations on the way. And it was probably only 4 or 5 years ago that I worked out that I wanted to be a CEO. All I'd ever done was go into that because it would give me flexibility. And it turns out that actually, if you work hard, you're easy to get along with and you get stuff done, then people kind of move you on and give you stuff to do, and you get more experience and more choices. and your career develops that way. And it's only in the very latter stages that I've kind of actually really pushed for something. So what have I learned on the way? A few bits that I will leave with you to think about, and then you can drill me on them if you want to. The first thing is that curiosity thing. What advice would I give you? I would be curious wherever you go. Do what Princess is doing. Wander around a company, trying different things out, because somewhere, I'm itching to ask Princess, what did you actually enjoy? Because if I'm betting, when you went into the organization, you either had no idea what you would enjoy, or you found that you enjoy something completely different. And inevitably, we're good at the things we enjoy. So half the art is trying things out until you find something that feels as though it's right for you. And sad as I may be, insurance seemed to be the one for me. And Cisco, and whichever part of Cisco is working for Princess. So be curious. Wherever you go, whatever you do, ask away, ask why it works. Whether I was the same, whether I was working in a pub, trying to understand, well, why did they buy that, and who do they order from, and why do they do it that way, and how do you make money, and and what do the customers say, and what do the customers want, and why do they want that? Be the nagging, annoying person, and as long as you still deliver the goods, work hard, and so on, people will actually think you care and you're interested. So that would be one. I would say choose and commit. So what I've learned over the years, I'm a Libran. Anyone who's into Zodiac, I'm a Libran, and the Librans have other scales. So every decision is in the balance. Really hard to make a decision. At the end of the day, most decisions are not life-threatening. Maybe they are if you're on the front line in a war zone, but most decisions aren't. Most decisions you can get wrong and do something else if you get them wrong. So take the decision, go for it, throw everything you've got at it, learn from it, and if you need to maneuver, just maneuver. So that would be the second one. Third one is be known for delivering. So if people trust you to get stuff done, then people will trust you to get stuff done, and the next thing, and the next thing, and the next thing, and your experience will grow, and you'll find that you get better things offered to you to do than other people do because they trust you to do them. And that is just a great way of building experience. I'd say be brave, take some risks and learn from your mistakes. Because actually, the most important moves that I've made in my career have either resulted in near catastrophic failure, and yet here I am, and have also, or have been moving to jobs that are smaller in anybody's, I've taken sideways moves, I've taken backwards moves, because it gives me a different kind of experience that I think I can learn from. So kind of be brave rather than timid. Really important, build trust with people. So people give opportunities to people that they like, they trust, and are going to get the job done. And that's just life. And building trust is all about being open and transparent and helping others, giving a little bit of you, and that can be really hard at times, especially if you're not sure you want to trust the other person. You've got to take a risk in that relationship, and being a bit vulnerable. So sharing something that feels a bit close to you, so that they get to know you as a person, is a really great way of building a bridge with someone. And the more you do that, the more you'll find that people open up to you. And it's really hard to be horrible to someone that's opening up themselves. You want to hug them, you want to help them, you want to push them forward. So building trust is probably the biggest component of being successful in business. And then finally, and I'll stop there because I've no idea how long I was speaking. I'm sure I'm overusing my time. I would say this: believe in yourself. I was a timid, ponytailed kid who hadn't thought about the future, who just kind of carried on ticking, doing maths because she hadn't got the imagination. I started a career because I thought I should do something, because inevitably I was going to get married, have children, and be a house mum. And it turns out I have a daughter, but life didn't work out that way. And I just wasn't confident. I couldn't have spoken to you when I was your age. I could not have done that. That would have been too terrifying. But it turns out that confidence is a skill that can be learned, and it isn't a birthright. People aren't just confident. They've practiced, they've been around people. My guess is Jermain was not confident on day one when he stepped up on the voice stage. Bloody sure I couldn't have done that. And I will share, I have just done a presentation with the guy that runs the civil service. So he who is in number 10 Downing Street. Just like you and I did a panel. I've literally just come off one with him in front of 400 of the great dignitaries who turned out to see him. Turns out the kid that couldn't speak at the table and answer a question can talk. I'm still the same person, but it turns out if you practice and do stuff, you can. So confident, believe in yourself. There's no such thing really as an irredeemable failure. You just try something and move on and learn from it, and just believe that you'll keep growing.
Thank you
So
so much.
That might give you a few things to mull on.
Thank you so much, Penny. And you know what? It's that authenticity, and I think that vulnerability that you share as well, being someone in your position and knowing where you came from to now. And that's what people, especially myself, took to when we first met, just how kind of welcoming and honest you really are about your process and what you did. And, you're not making any excuses for anything or saying, I didn't do anything different or exponential. It was just a young girl with a ponytail, just pushing for something and trying her best. And that's where you got her. So thank you so much for that piece. It's always lovely to hear that as well, and I'm glad that everybody else here got to hear it. So thank you so much, Penny. And now, without further ado, we got my friend, the winner of The Voice 2014, my guy, all around, just the Black Superman. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my friend Jermain Jackman. And yeah, Jermain, the floor is yours, my friend.
Good evening, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Loud and clear, that's great. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. I know we've arranged and then cancelled and rearranged and then rescheduled and cancelled and so thank you for finally pinning me down, because I'm always on the go. I've got one meeting after this, and I had a 2-hour meeting before this. So I'm on the go, and I still haven't actually had my dinner, so I'm here eating some biscuits in the meantime. Penny was right to talk about confidence and believing in yourself, because that is one of the main themes in my story, the main themes in how I got to where I'm at. And I see David he just finished a big glass of red wine. I see you, David. Let me see the glass, empty, right. And I really struggled with my confidence. And I'll tell you how it links to red wine in a second. But I really struggled with my confidence. I really struggled to believe in myself. And I was 19 years old. I've turned 25, but I was 19 when I won The Voice. And I remember being so nervous. The producer said, look, there's 3 million plus people already tuned in, and you're about to go on, and there's hundreds of people in the studio. And 19-year-old me, I was much skinnier then. And I was nervous. So there was a massive Tesco next door. And singers don't ever do this, but I used to run to the Tesco's, grab those mini bottles of wine and a packet of Skittles, and I used to not take a swig, I used to finish the whole bottle, and a packet of Skittles, and I used to go on stage, because for some reason I felt like, and don't worry, I didn't turn into an alcoholic, I felt like I was so nervous, I needed something to really chill me. But thankfully, I only did that for maybe 2 weeks, and I just stopped after that. I was like, I can't. I continued the Skittles though. The Skittles really helped. The alcohol, that's a no-go. It's a no-go. But I really want to tell you about my story and some of the lessons that I learned through that story. And there are some gems in it. And by all means, if any of it resonates with you, if you can pick it out, take it, because there are tons of it. So I've been singing all my life. And I grew up in an area in Hackney where we didn't really have any opportunities to see our value and our worth. I lived in the middle of two gangs, saw a lot of people be stabbed and shot. I remember even at the age of 12 putting pressure onto a wound to stop the bleeding. And that was my reality. That was my lived experience. And singing for me was my form of escapism. It was my place where I found joy and happiness. But it was mine, and it was just for me. And so I kept it to myself. I would sing in my bedroom, I would sing in the shower, and that's where it stayed. And I remember one weekend I was singing, and my grandmother, God bless her, God rest her soul, I came out and she was standing there with her arms crossed. And she said, "You can sing like this and you didn't tell me?" I was like, "It's just the acoustics of the bathroom. It's not me." She was like, okay. I didn't know that. But the following day, on the Sunday, we went to church and she had a conversation with the priest. And I didn't know this. But during communion, she then, the priest, who is now the first Black female bishop of the country, Bishop Rose Hudson Wilkin, she then called me up, and I was, how old? I was maybe 7 years old at the time. And she's like, "Now we have a musical contribution from Jermain." And I looked around, I said, "I know they ain't talking about me." They can't be talking about me. I'm like, you know, when your grandma just pinches you and says, get up. You got the whole church looking at you, get up. So I walked to the front of the congregation and I looked up, put my mouth to the microphone and said, "Amazing grace, how sweet the sound." And I went to a Church of England church, so everyone's very reserved. After when all things bright and beautiful, rivers great and small. That's how my church was, very, very Anglican, Church of England. And the whole church erupted, tambourines started coming out, and people went crazy. And that was the first ever time I took my singing from the shower to the stage. And it was because people believed in me, I was able to believe in myself, but also recognize that once you're given a gift from God, you can't hide that gift away. You need to use it to bless the minds and souls and spirits of those who are listening to you. And that set me on my course for entering singing competitions. I remember when I was 11 years old, my first ever school singing competition. Jeremy Corbyn actually was in the audience because it was in his constituency. And I sung, and he came up to me. He was like, "Oh, you got an amazing voice, blah, blah, blah." But anyway, that's Jeremy. We'll talk about him another day. And I won that competition. And I just kept on winning competitions and singing competitions and growing and developing. And I never had any singing lessons. What my dad used to do, I used to sit on his lap as a kid. I used to read Wikipedia pages on how to sing and about the throat and how to use it correctly. We used to watch videos of Luther Vandross and Whitney Houston and how they would stand and sing and where that power would come from. So I'm literally self-taught with a love of passion, but all while growing up with what's going on around me, with the gang violence, with poverty, with struggle. And it plays into why I am how I am today. I then was 16 and the BBC One, I saw an advert. If you can sing, you can get in. The Voice, new singing program coming to BBC One. Everyone's like, wow. I was like, wow. Because it's funny, because after every X Factor, my mom always turns to me and said, "Why don't you apply? Why don't you apply?" And go, I'm like, "Nah, I don't feel like I have an X Factor." But when I saw The Voice, I felt like, okay, well, I feel like I do have a voice, politically and musically. So why not apply? So I applied when I was 16. And what you guys don't see on television is the process to that. I had to go through rounds of producers. There were hundreds of singers. We went up in a hotel room and people were getting kicked out left, right, and center. There was group singing and there was solos and there was interviews. And I remember I got to this particular round of interviews and a lady said, what, she was a producer, and she said to me, okay, well, tell us a bit about yourself. I said, well, I'm 16, I'm from Hackney, and I loved it. And she, well, are you in any gangs? I was like, no, but I just became a member of the youth parliament though, and I love doing this, I love doing that. And I'm like, okay, yep. I was like, okay, cool. They then sent me home. I was so excited. I was buzzing. I remember going home to my mom. I said, Mom, it was amazing. I met some amazing people. And you know, it was like a child on Christmas Day. I was so excited about the prospect of potentially being on a show because opportunities like that for our community have never, ever come across us, ever. So even the idea of potentially being on TV was huge, not just for me, but for my whole community. Like I even had, I'll tell you about the people in prison another time. And I was so excited that I actually had a dream. You know, when you constantly think about something and something's on your mind, like my mom just had a dream about a new car. And she just got a new car yesterday, and she's been dreaming about this car the whole entire time because now she's realized she don't like it and she wants to. Anyway, I digress. But I had a dream, and in the dream, I was in a line with about 50 other singers, and will.i.am was in this colonel outfit, marched up and down this line. And you know when your dreams don't really make sense. And he stopped and he pointed. He said, "You're not going to get it this time, but you'll get it the second time. This is no word of a lie." And I didn't understand what that dream meant. I was like, huh? What the hell? What does that even mean? I woke up, I spoke to my mom. She said, well, let's just see what happens. You just had the audition. And a couple of days later, they emailed me saying I'm not what they're looking for. And that really knocked my confidence. Really knocked my confidence because the way they advertised the show was, if you can sing, you can get in. And by me not getting in made me feel like I couldn't sing. So I was at a point where I had poured all of my heart and soul into something just for this entity that I looked up to, the voice, a program, entertainment industry, to tell me that I'm not good enough. And I really struggled to come to terms with that. And I guess and I have to be honest, I guess there was an ounce of arrogance in me as well, to say, okay, I've come from this background of winning competitions so much that automatically I should just get in and win this competition. And some could say and could be argued that it was a humbling process for me. But at a 16-year-old, still discovering who they are as a person, still trying to find their way in society, still trying to battle racism and teachers and exams, and then being told that you're not good enough, it was a real struggle for me. My dad wanted me to be a basketball player, so I was like, well, you know what, why not get into basketball? So I did that for a couple of months, and then I realized that I hate running. So I stepped back from that. And it really took me a long time to get back on the horse and ride it. And I will stop here to say that there are going to be points in your careers where you are going to be told no. You are going to be told you're not good enough. Doors are going to close on you. And yes, it may be a humbling experience. Yes, it may dent your confidence. Yes, it may knock you back. Yes, it may set you back. But you need to look at it as a setup rather than a setback, setting you up for something else. When one door closes, another one opens. And I had to humble myself. I got that sense of humbling from that process because I said, you know what? I'm just gonna slowly get my way back onto the horse and start riding it again. So I said yes to a number of opportunities, even the small bars and restaurants in Catford, in South London. I said yes to those because there were opportunities for me to continuously grow. Who am I? I'm not Whitney Houston. I would love to sing at your restaurant. And so I said yes to this opportunity to sing at a restaurant. And this now took me 2 years to recover from that process. And I sung at a small restaurant in Catford, sung At Last by Etta James. And I didn't know who was having their dinner in that same very small restaurant that evening. It was Kanya King, who is the founder of the Mobile Awards. And she came up to me after. She was like, oh my goodness, you have an amazing voice. oh my goodness, and you're only 18. Oh my God, I want to put you forward for The Voice. Straight away, the trauma was coming back to me. I was reliving it. I said, whoa. No, we don't want to go there. We don't want to go there. I already had an experience of that. Don't really want to do it. And she's like, no, well, talk to me. And I had a conversation with her. And I also told her that I got into a music university in Boston called Berklee College of Music, which is known as the music university across the world. If you got into Berklee, you're one of them. And I got into Berklee, but I couldn't afford it. It was £200,000 that I needed, and I did not have that. Remember the community that I came from? I couldn't even fathom £200,000. So I saw The Voice as potentially an opportunity to get a scholarship for Berklee College of Music. So I agreed, and I said, yes, I'll sign up. And for some reason, I felt like I approached this situation differently. I approached it with, again, a sense of humbleness. I approached it with an awareness of the questions that they asked me the first time. And I approached it with, in the back of my mind, Berklee College of Music, Berklee College of Music. That's why I'm here, Berklee College of Music. So went into that process, and I sung to the final round of producers. Now, the first time around, I didn't get to the final round of producers. This time I did. And they said, oh, sing House Is Not a Home by Luther Vandross, sing Walk On By Dionne Warwick, sing, and I was singing Alicia Keys' New York. I was singing these songs left, right, and center. They were like, wow, fantastic. You're on the show. I was like, excuse me? They said, you're on the show. I was like, oh okay. Ran home, said, Mom, I'm on the show, I'm on the show. And that was a massive, I can't even begin to tell you what the process meant, not just for me, but for my family and my community to be able to be on a show like that. And I'll tell you about the most nerve-wracking moment. Walking out at my blind auditions to will.i.am, Sir Tom Jones, because he likes to be referred to as Sir Tom Jones, Kylie Minogue, and Ricky Wilson. And I was so nervous that I started singing on the wrong note. So I had to find my way to the right note. And I eventually sung, and will.i.am turned around and I was on his team. And I'm currently writing a book actually called The Reality of Reality TV, which talks about my lived experience on a reality TV show, but also the lived experiences of other people like Love Island, Big Brother, I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. I'm currently writing that book, but it's taken a long process doing all those interviews. And I really had to grow up real fast because, again, I was an 18, 19-year-old in this big environment with mature and well-seasoned singers who have been doing this far longer than I had been alive, who were very serious, and this is what I'm doing. And I'm just like, yeah, let's go to Tesco, get some alcohol. And that's the way I was living. Partly because, yes, I was 18 and I realized I could drink alcohol now. So I was making use of my newfound age. And literally, because we filmed The Voice from September to December, it then goes live on air. It then airs from January to March. And it felt like an out-of-body experience, seeing your life transform, seeing just the small of things, your followers on Twitter go up, or people starting to recognize you on the street, literally from Saturday morning to Sunday morning. Everyone knows who you are now, completely. You can no longer just walk to the shop to get a pint of milk in your flip-flops and a little hoodie. You have to dress up because people want to take pictures. Even in your roughest of days, everyone wants to take pictures with you. So always be ready, always be camera ready. And that whole process, and I remember getting through the blind auditions and remembering the dream that I had when I was 16, saying I'm not going to win it when I was 16, but I'll win it the second time. And that dream coming straight back to me 2 years later. And I was like, wow, that dream was given to me 2 years prior to prepare me for this moment right here, right now, not realizing that it meant that I would be the first Black man to win any singing competition this country has ever had. That was the first thing will.i.am said to me when I won The Voice. He said, you know, you're the first Black man to win any singing competition this country's ever had. And I said, wait, no, but what about Lamar? I said, no, not Lamar. Lamar came second. And I was like, wow. So and then I remember winning the program and getting calls or messages on Facebook from people that I know in prison. Yo, I had the prisoners, we were all around that TV watching and supporting you. To remind you that it wasn't just a win for me, it was a win for my community. For the first time, our community saw positive representation of themselves on primetime television, rather than the negative stereotypes that we see on the newspapers and the magazines. It was a win for all of us. And I realized there and then that I had to use my platform to try and bring about change. I can't waste this opportunity. And that's why the moment they said, Jermain, do you have anything to say? Even though I was speechless, I said, don't let anybody tell you what you can and cannot achieve. You can go for it. And I made sure that that was my message, because I realized that this was the first time people had seen a young Black man from inner city London that can sing in a positive light. And I had to use that to try and amplify the messages and the voices of so many other people. People were looking at my every word. I remember returning to Hackney for a community event, and a young man who had just come out of a gang had said, look, like, you made it all possible for me. Like, seeing you do your thing made it possible to do mine. And in my story, there are a number of messages. One of them being that many people are looking up to you. The same way how you look up to people, people are looking up to you. People want to support you on your journey. So I really want to urge you, and especially in this year of COVID, what we've seen with George Floyd, with the disproportionate deaths of it, continue to strive forward. There were moments on The Voice where I said, Jermain, you can't do this. It's time to give up. Like, there's been times where I felt like I might have been going home. Difficult rehearsals. But there were so many moments in that experience where I was able to grow up, develop, and remind myself, no, Jermain, you deserve to be here. Because remember, too often we're told in our careers, no matter if it's insurance, entertainment, finance, the arts, transport, you're not good enough. Are you meant to be here? And you're made to feel that way as well, not just from the conversations that you might have or the indirects that are sent to you, but also the little murmurs around you. Did he really want me here? Did he really like me? And that was constantly running through my mind, trying to develop. And now, I can't really swear because there's kids in the chat. Now I don't give a hell. Now I really don't care. You deserve to be where you are at. You need to remind yourself every single morning, I deserve to be where I'm at. I worked my ass off. I worked really hard. I didn't battle racism and the barriers and the systemic challenges that were thrown at me to give up. I deserve to get where I'm at. I deserve to be where I'm at. I deserve to continue striving and to go for CEO and directors of organizations, and to be the pioneers of industries and to be the leaders. So yes, the BBC did say, oh, Jermain wants to be the first singing Black Prime Minister. And yeah, that might have been a little PR ploy. But why not? Why not? I remember I used to go around saying that to people. People used to laugh. I said, all right, you continue laughing. I'll be setting your taxes. Keep laughing. Because we need to be able to believe in ourselves. And throughout the process on The Voice, I struggled to really believe in myself because I was hearing the murmurs around me. Oh yeah, no, he won't really get it. And I didn't really believe in myself. But I will drop this as well. Because I won The Voice, I actually didn't get to go to Berklee College of Music. And despite me going back to the university and then providing me with a scholarship, I won The Voice, had to do a tour and an album, and I didn't get to go to Berklee College of Music. So things will happen. You might have a roadmap set out. You might have that destination real clear. But trust me, diversions, potholes, broken bridges, roadworks will all come in the way and will set you off course and will set you down a path that you didn't even prepare for. I never prepared to be the winner of The Voice. I now understand that I need to use this platform to bring about change, and that's why I'm so political as well. You see Paul Robeson and Malcolm X behind me. You see all these books, partly because I knew that I was setting up my Zoom here, so I put my bookshelf there on purpose, because I was getting jealous of everyone else's bookshelves, and I was like, I want my own bookshelf. But it's important that you have a platform now to try and influence and bring about change. I advise on a number of government committees and organizations. I write policy, I write reports, and I chair commissions in Hackney and in Islington for organizations. I'm now at the head of strategy and innovation for a number of charities, transforming them and setting them strategic goals and aims for 2021 and beyond. And I'm only 25, and there's so much more that I want to achieve. So Ivan, thank you so much for inviting me. But also, I want to remind everyone here that yes, I may be the winner of The Voice, but there's so much more that I want to achieve. There's so much more that I want to go for. And I'm not going to be the 57-year-old man who said, oh yeah, you won The Voice back in 2014. No, I'm going to be 57 and Prime Minister, guaranteed that.
Amen. Amen. No, thank you so much for that, Jermain. This is why I call you the Black Superman. Like, if you guys have had the pleasure of knowing Jermain and following him, he's coming to his events, having our one-to-ones, our catch-ups, and Jermain is just such a good human being and very passionate about what he does. And for me, so I first met Jermain, we was at an event, a charity fundraiser for Ghana. Jermain was actually performing, and we had so many extenders, actors, footballers, all kinds of people were there. And of course, just reaching out and being able to, Jermain's popular, right? So he had a few friends that were there that I happened to know as well. And then I kind of just got to talking to Jermain, and his humbleness was the one thing that stood out to me most about Jermain. And, even throughout all these years, we still kept in contact. So, Jermain, thank you so much for sharing your piece. And
I really wanted to just quickly, I know my spiel is over, but I really wanted to talk about the word humble, remain humble. And being humble will take you places. I've worked with people who have said that they've met Whitney Houston, they've worked with her, they've recorded with her, or they've written for Aretha Franklin, all the greats. They said you can be a great singer and have a terrible attitude, no one would want to work with you. It's about understanding the people that you will meet on your way up are the same people you will meet on your way down. Be kind to people, but also have a sense of authority within yourself when you're vibrating and being in spaces like that, where people can sometimes mistake your confidence for arrogance. And I'll use an example of how my mom and my granny used to humble me. This was the BBC One Christmas special. I was at the Royal Albert Hall singing "O Come All Ye Faithful" with a 200-piece orchestra and a choir. And I did a duet with Catherine Jenkins, and it was a phenomenal event. And the BBC paid me quite a bit to do it as well. So after the show, I was like, Mom, Granny, where are we going to the bus stop? We're gonna take Uber. We're gonna take Uber. We're gonna get the Lux Uber. Mom was like, no, we're gonna take the bus. We're gonna take the bus. So she sat me down at that bus stop in my performance outfit, and all the guests from the show were walking by. Oh, you're fantastic! Oh, you're the guy that sang. Oh my goodness! Yeah. And I was like, yeah, thank you very much. Thanks, guys. But it was measures like that, things like that, what my mom did for me, that kept me humble. And you carry that humbleness with you. You carry that humility with you, and that would be one of my other gems to share with you guys. Remain humble. In whatever spaces that you're in, be kind to one another. We're seeing industries and sectors of society that are ruthless, rude, mean, everyone out for themselves, and not thinking about the greater good, not thinking about how can I influence change, not thinking about how can I improve people's lives, not thinking about how can I brighten up somebody's day. And I think the sooner we start to think about us as a collective rather than me as an individual, the sooner we can work towards a better society.
Thank you so much for that, Jermain. Thank you. And thank you guys for both sharing your introduction pieces. They were both amazing. So now what I want to do is just for us, for the sake of time, just to go on to the question sections from Spiela. And then of course we'll open up the floor for a few questions from the community. So just to kind of kick that off. So Penny, of course you're up for the question. I'm just going to share the screen just to get the first question in. and just make sure everyone can see the screen. And the first question being, slideshow. So within, let me share that, okay. So within business and community, what should we be aligning ourselves towards as we end 2020? So this question kind of means, as we're resetting now, once we get out of this lockdown period and start to see even just a tiny bit of normalcy going into the new year, what should we be aligning ourselves towards within kind of like, whether that be trying to pursue business or trying to see how we can align business and community together, if that question is making sense.
I think it's a great question, because I think there are so just pausing on Jermain's piece, I just want to say your point on humility, great, your point on inner confidence, great, and you are you have such an extraordinary understanding of self for someone of your tender years, being as I'm double your age, that is incredible. What do I think in terms of aligning ourselves? One of the most powerful things from where I sit over the course of the pandemic is that it has reminded people that we're kind of in it together. I'll come on to sort of George Floyd slightly, but we have worked as communities, we have worked as businesses, we've worked as employers, governments together in a way that I don't think any of us could remember. That, you know, we should. The day we went into lockdown, we agreed we would put 3 million quid into the communities around around our businesses, and we had that money in those communities within 3 weeks. And we worked with the local authorities to work out where to deploy it, because where it was needed, because we knew that government money would come, but we also knew it would take time to get there. And in those moments, the relationships, and we have a very close relationship with some of the local authorities in our areas, but the relationships between our authorities and businesses are completely different. And we just promised whatever happened, we would secure jobs through September, because we had no idea what we were in for. But we knew that people were scared, we had to help them, that it would affect the people around them, and so on. And if I look at the conversations we have with government, we have with local authorities, we have with our people, our customers through that period, it was connected in a way that it's never been before. And for me, what we take out of this is how we run through our other activities in that way. What are the big challenges before us? And I would have 2 in that space, or no, probably more than that, 3 in that space. One is climate, which we all busy, think is tomorrow's problem, and it blatantly is not tomorrow's problem anymore. Where there is no solution that DLG can do, or that Lewisham Council can do, or that the government can do. We're all in it together. The second is a societal. There is a moment, and I'm a clumsy business leader, but what happened with the George Floyd incident, and the way that people and me as a leader and 10,000 people in my organization kind of opened our eyes and listened, is happening all over the UK, and there is a real opportunity to grab that moment, and that requires people to work together and be open, be humble, be prepared to make mistakes, to listen to one another in a way that we have not generally done. So that is right up there on my list as being a community and business activity. And the third one is, we will conquer this pandemic thing. Humans are super bright, they'll work out the answers. We've got vaccines on the way. It's going to be a horrible winter. But I believe 12 months time will feel very different. And, come March, the weather will get better, and, it will die back in its natural course. So, the next few months are going to be painful, but we will get through that. the economic impacts of it, and economic impacts hit those who are least well off more than they hit those who are comfortably off, we'll be living with for some time. What we do about that has to be a joint community response. So those are the three areas for me. I think, you can help educate us on what we need to do differently, but there are, I think, three pretty burning areas that are holistic efforts rather than individual efforts.
Thank you so much, Penny. Thank you so much for that insightful answer and just kind of knowing and understanding that. So no, thank you. Jermain, what would you say as well in relation to that question as well, the business and the community?
Yeah, Penny's completely right to raise the point of the economic impact coronavirus has caused. And we know that when a recession happens, there are particular demographics of society who stay in a recession far longer, even when the country's recovered. And that tends to be ethnic minorities and the most vulnerable and the most poorest in society. And we've seen the disproportionalities with the deaths of coronavirus. And all of this is telling us something, that we are living in a very unequal world. And it's becoming even more unequal. And I'm really concerned about 2021 when we are not learning the lessons from 2020. And I think even the language of this idea of a new normal, and I say to myself, I hate the term the new normal, because the old normal never worked for us. The old normal never worked for that family struggling in Sunderland. The old normal never worked for that single mum in Manchester. The old normal never worked for that young black boy in the West Midlands. The old normal never worked for us. We need to be working towards a better normal. A normal where it's equal pay for women. A normal where young black boys are not stopped and searched, are not 9 times more likely to be stopped and searched. A normal where we're not excluding kids from school, but we're creating more inclusive environments in school. A better normal. That's the type of world we need to be creating. A world where we actually tackle some of those challenges that our community and businesses face. But in order for us to, and this now goes back to the question, in order for us to actually tackle some of those challenges, it requires everyone to come together. And often we look at businesses and community as two separate entities, when in actual fact they can work together. So in one of the reports that I've written recently for Hackney Council, which they've actually voted on all of my recommendations and they're going to implement them. One of them was talking about using local businesses to provide meaningful work experience to some of our students here in Hackney. And that is creating a role for businesses, and especially local businesses, for the community. Also thinking about how can local businesses be a safe haven for a young person who might be scared of a group of boys who are down the street, and you can just walk into your shop and say, okay, can I just stay here for a while? Ensuring that local business, not just local businesses, but theatres, banks, and spaces playing a role in ensuring that we can achieve some of our objectives as a human race. How can I reduce my carbon emission? We talk about climate change. I'm really worried about the future. I'm really worried about 2021 and beyond. Very fearful. A lot of people were celebrating that Trump lost the election, and yes, there might be some cause for celebration, but in my mind, it's just slowed the race down to hell. I still feel like we're always going in that direction. This regressive mindset that some of our world leaders tend to adopt, rather than thinking about, okay, how can we actually improve people's lives? An example, HS2. I got into an argument with one of the project managers from HS2. I said, what was the thinking behind starting HS2 in London and in the South when the North desperately need the investment? Oh, well, yeah, it will take too long to get to London if we start it from the North. I said, well, that means it's going to take even longer to get to the North when they desperately need that investment. So it's just thinking about how can we create a society where people feel like they care about me. I'm supported. I am encouraged and empowered to reach my full potential. Because it's the only way we can actually move forward. It's the only way we can actually develop as a human race, as a species, is when people reach their full potential. And the reason why in my Twitter bio I call myself a full-time troublemaker is because I feel like I'm now set on a path to tearing down every single oppressive structure that's there, preventing people from reaching their full potential. And that's what I feel like I've been put on this planet to do, tear it down. So call me a troublemaker, yes, but I'm causing good trouble at the same time.
Amen. Thank you so much, bro. It's always Jermain, you're always gonna get the most colourful answer. So thank you so much, my friend. No, just for, of course, you know me, everyone knows me, I'm time police. So no, thank you, you two, for your contributions. Thank you for, you know, sharing the know-how and the information, right? Before we kind of do a proper send-off, what we're gonna do now, just for sake of time, we're gonna open up for a few questions from the community to Jermain and Penny. So guys, if you do have questions, please just let me know that's either to Jermain or Penny. They're both as much as we love them, they are busy people. So yeah, if anybody does have any questions, please do. The floor is yours. So of course, one at a time, please.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Josh.
I've got 3 questions if I can for Penny. Afternoon, Penny. How are you?
I'm really well. You want to be something called an analyst. Whenever I talk, analysts assess our business and they therefore try and learn more about us than anyone else. And they always have 3 questions.
Good. So my first one is, did you or do you have a mentor? 'Cause I'm curious, how did you map out your path to CEO? That's the first question. Yeah.
Do you want to download the 3 and then I'll...
Okay, cool. What keeps you motivated in your career and in life in general? And then what's next? Is it CEO of a company? Is it charity work? Or you could continue to do the same thing? Just out of curiosity.
Last one's a great question. Okay, mentor. I think when you're young, unless you're like Jermain, who's got a very clear view of what he is and what he needs to do, my punt is that most people on this call, in fact, most people I meet, don't have anywhere near that level of clarity. And I certainly didn't. It turns out in the middle stages of the early stages, so in my late 20s, before I'd worked out that I could be good at something, there were people behind the scenes who were dropping opportunities in my way. I didn't know it. I thought I'd worked really hard, and I had worked really hard for them. And what do I mean by that? They were looking out for a bit of a project that I'd be good at, because they're trying to draw you to the point. And I think those points in your sort of 20s where, you know, you're still kind of developing who you are as a human, if you like, these things are less clear. And so that certainly made a difference. And it was like 8 years before I worked out that anybody had helped along that path at all. They never told me. And I now do that. And I know a lot of senior leaders do a similar thing. And it's not, you know, we're constantly looking for who are the people who've come in as apprentices or graduates or whatever that people think have potential because of some of the things I said. And are we moving them around? If you look at Princess and are we giving them different tastes of things so that they can do that? So the other thing I would say is that, and then in the latter stages of my career, I have more actively sought out. You learn after a while to go and ask. And the great thing about people is when you ask them, there's nothing people like more than giving their advice to people and sharing their learnings. I don't know whether it's sort of arrogance or whether it's caring or kindness, whatever it is, but people love it. So actually you can draw down on people quite well. So yes, I've never had someone saying this is what you should do, but I have people who have been dropping, as I say, try this project, get involved in that, go and try that, and building that varied series of experiences is what takes you there. What's kept me motivated? People, I think. 2 things. I get bored easily. So that nosy thing, you know, I've learned over the years to try and do my job in about half the time, in about 2 years, because that way I have to hire some brilliant people and get them to do the job for me, or find brilliant people to do the job for me. And that keeps me looking out rather than, kind of worrying, and keeps me moving on. So it doesn't mean that I necessarily move after 2 years, but I fill the space with something else. I do add something else interesting, build another experience, and then give my experience to somebody else. And in a way, if you do that, you're kind of creating the rope ladder to climb up by backfilling yourself all the time. And that takes inner confidence, because a lot of people don't do that because they fear that they will do themselves out of a role. But actually what you're doing is creating capacity to grab the next thing. But really I'm just energized with people. I find lockdown great in many ways and hard because I can't go out and wander around and meet people and, find out what they're up to. So now I have to zoom in and find out what my counter fraud team are doing and how they're doing it. And, I was on to Leeds this morning and finding out how they're looking after one another. People are just fascinating. So that's definitely. And what's next? Look, I've only been in the role for 18 months, so I've got a little way to go yet. And I think when you get to my stage, you stop judging it in terms of kind of steps and start thinking about a bit more about contribution. I don't have that clarity in the way that Jermain does, but it is a luxury position to be able to influence things. So it's more important to me that in the time I have where I'm leading a 10,000 person organization, that I can move us in a direction that is doing something that is a broader good than just running an insurance company. And better still, if I can create an environment where businesses generally think that way, then you can double, treble, quadruple down on that. And better still, if I can talk to government and get them to play the same ball, whichever variety of government there may be, Jermain, that's even better, because I'm all about practical getting stuff done. Philosophical doesn't really work for me. I'm much more interested. Why am I pleased that Biden is in? It's not a political thing. I just think he's someone that can listen and probably work with people. It's as basic as that. And we've got a few problems to sort out on the way. So I'm kind of more optimistic about the future, because I see a lot of people and leaders trying to do those kind of things. And I think humans in the end are quite smart. But yeah, hopefully that gives you a feel.
Thank you very much, Penny. Thank you, Penny.
I'm going to be naughty. Jermain, I have one question, if that's okay.
Just one.
Just one. So Jermain, if I may ask, it's a loaded question. What's your family background, if I may ask?
So the flag's there. It's Guyana.
Okay, got you. So I guess listening to you talking about a lot about the UK political system and making a difference in that. Do you think maybe choosing to do that in your own country and making more difference in your own country would make more sense than the UK system? Because it's almost an uphill struggle, because we know how systematic the actual system is. Would it make more sense to you? Have you ever thought about that? What's your thoughts on that?
I have thought about it. They'll probably assassinate me by the time. That's what my mom said. She jokes at that all the time. But the thing is that I was born in this country, and I've seen the challenges that this country has currently faced and has faced in the past. And I also see the potential, not just of the country, but of its people, and the potential of creating proper policies that would improve people's lives here in this country. But also when you think about foreign policy and the impact that Britain could potentially have across the world in improving people's lives and solving conflicts and saving lives. And yeah, so I would prefer to actually do it here in this country than in Guyana, if I'm being honest. But I have visited Guyana many a times, and I grew up there from a very young age before I started primary school here in this country. And that was a whole another level of poverty. Literally, it's bigger. The country's bigger than the UK, but has the same population, has less than the population of Scotland. It's only got 800,000 people in the whole entire country, even though the country's bigger than the UK. And they all live on the coast. The rest of it is Amazon, and it's already below sea level. So as you can imagine, with climate change, floods are getting more disastrous and more people are dying. And one of my goals in life, and I said that this is one of my goals in life, is to build a music university in Guyana, a world-renowned music university in Guyana, where young people of the Caribbean can go and apply and develop their skills and then pump them out to the rest of the world. Because when I visited Barbados, Trinidad, Guyana, and I met with some young musicians, they were saying, look, we're only on a small island. Like Trinidad or Barbados, we're only on a small island. There's only so many presidential receptions you can sing for, and then it starts to become repetitive. What more can we do? And it broke my heart that there weren't any opportunities. Not that there just weren't any opportunities for young people in the Caribbean, but also that they realized that there weren't any opportunities for them. So I wanted there to be a music university in the Caribbean, so young people can go develop their skills and be the composers, not just the soca or the reggae artists, but the composers, the classical singers, the opera singers, and pump them out to the rest of the world.
Thank you so much for that, Jermain. Thank you, Josh, as well. Thank you, guys. Any more questions from the community for Jermain and Penny? I haven't got too much long left, so please do get them in.
I had a question for Jermain, actually. Hi, Jermain. Jermain, I was just wondering, knowing what you know now, having done the application for The Voice, well, the first time, and then going on and winning it the second time, would you recommend that as a route to any young up-and-coming artists moving forward? I mean, I know, I'm not sure whether The Voice is still going or not. I don't really watch a lot of that kind of telly, but as an opportunity, would you recommend that to young people trying to get on in the industry?
So I'm going to give you a politician's answer.
Nah, I don't want that.
I don't regret it. I don't regret a moment that I was on that program, because I'm very grateful for what it has done for me and my family and where it has brought me to this day. But I'm also mindful of the struggles that I did have to face on that program. And I'm blessed and I'm lucky to have such a strong and close-knit family and community to help me through that process. And I had an amazing best friend at the time who was just on the phone with me every single night through my tears. But not everyone has that.
Yeah.
And not everybody might have that mental strength to get through a program like that. Look, we've seen the suicides after programs like Love Island.
Yeah.
We know the risks of, well, we don't know the risks of reality TV. That's why I'm writing this book, because I really want
interested in
tell
that.
young people, because I'm being told, oh, I want to apply for X Factor and Britain's Got Talent.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to put a book together with the lived experiences of reality TV stars, but also like a top tip type of book, and just saying things to look out for, things to be mindful of, and not to put all your eggs into one basket, because it will be disastrous for you to put all your eggs into one basket and then for that basket just to be bust open from the bottom.
Yeah.
That's everything gone for you. In my season, I don't want to say any names, but in my season, there's 2 people that actually had to be sectioned after the episode of The Voice.
Yeah.
After the series of The Voice. So there's definitely a strong link with mental health and reality TV. Even in the name reality TV, it becomes a fake program that's set out to entertain its viewers, becomes your reality.
Yeah.
To a point where people are picking you up, your phone is ringing every single day, people are waiting on you hand and foot, you got schedule, you get busy, and this is a good couple of months.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
it's done.
The phone doesn't ring.
Yeah.
No, you're calling them. Hey, just wanted to check up on you, and like, oh, we're working on the next show. Sorry, speak to you later. That's literally how it is.
It is such a conveyor belt, isn't it? I was wondering whether young people are still tempted in that way, the X Factor and those kind of shows, to say this is how I'm going to get my break, without actually understanding that it is, a kind of unreal reality that they put you in for a certain amount of time.
Absolutely, and I will say this, that perhaps what also helped me was the fact that I was thinking about Berkeley the whole entire time.
Yeah.
The whole entire time I was on that program, I did not ever say, and a producer actually said this to me, I've never actually heard you say that you wanted to win. I was like, because I kind of want to go to this university, and that was in my mind. And I didn't even tell you guys this. The reason why I am what I am today, and why I'm writing this book, and why I want to bring about change, at the after party of The Voice, and this basically solidified all my feelings throughout the entire time. After party of The Voice, everyone was drunk, everyone was drinking, and the executive producer of the show, who was drunk as a skunk, she came up to me and she said, even though we did what we did, you still won. And for that, congratulations.
Yeah.
No word of a lie. Those
Yeah.
were her exact words to me. Even though we did what we did, you still won. And for that, congratulations. Now, that set me on a course to make sure that I tore down every single barrier and obstacle that was ever placed in front of not only me, but people like me, young people around the countries, around this country, and families who are really struggling because of those systemic and structural barriers and obstacles that are placed in their ways. Because the way I was feeling the whole entire time on the show, like, I feel like there's someone against me. Why do I feel like there's so much? It's because it was so. So, yeah.
Thank you so much, Jermaine.
Yeah.
And thank you, Shireen.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I look forward to the book, because I think a lot of people need to know what goes on behind. People don't know what producers do and how they are and how they make interesting telly. And I think more people should know that.
Thank you. Hopefully they do one for, I know that TV show you're going about so much on Netflix. I forgot what it is, that musical that you talk about.
Hamilton,
yeah.
Gosh, I haven't trained you enough yet. I've watched it yet.
Thank you, Shireen. We only got a few minutes left, guys. Are there any final questions at all for Penny and Jermaine before we close?
Yeah, I had a question for both Jermaine and Penny, and really it's a COVID-themed question. I just wanted, I guess I'll start with you, Jermaine. I just wanted to find out what you feel, or how you feel our government has handled the coronavirus, and if you had the opportunity, what would you have done differently? It's a bit of a meaty question, but I'd like to hear from both of you on it.
I know Jermaine's got a lot to say.
I have a lot to say. I'll let Penny. Penny's just on mute.
Go first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Look, I think I'm not going to make any comments on kind of individuals in the politics. That's not my gig. But these are unprecedented circumstances. So no one has the answers, is the first thing. I think they've done some things well and some things badly, and probably most of us in those positions would do those things. I think the strength of their communication and so on has been good. I think the fact that they've put the scientists up and been clear, and they've been pretty honest about what's going on, I think, which is good. I think they have facilitated funding, which seems obvious now, but actually looking back in March, the fact that you put furlough schemes and things in place, is hugely powerful. So they've done a number of things great. And there have been things that simply have not worked. And there are gaps in those mechanisms, which means some of the vulnerable have struggled as well, and charities and so on and other things have got to step in. And I think the local authorities have found themselves under huge pressure trying to deal with some of those gaps. So I don't think, for me, there isn't a binary, this is good, this is bad. They're just working their way through it. And I'm not going to comment on characters. That doesn't help.
Thank you very much, Penny. Jermaine, if you may.
I'm gonna comment on characters because it helps me. I'm joking. I'm playing. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. No, I agree with every single thing Penny has said. My thing for this government has been, if they had just acted sooner. I agree with Penny that we're living in unprecedented times, and we're trying to find the light switch in a dark room, and nobody really knew how to act. But if we had just acted sooner, and if there was more coordination, and I guess we can only do the ifs and buts right now, but what Corona has shown me that there's a lack of international cohesion. I was like, where's the UN? Where's the EU? Where's that international coordinated approach to this? How do we all work together as countries? But what we saw was everyone turning inwards and caring about them and their own. And okay, that's understandable. But what about working with countries, neighboring countries, to think about, okay, how can we stop the spread amongst the countries that we're surrounded by, which will inadvertently help you at the same time? So that showed me that. But also, remember, this is the government led by Boris Johnson. Actually, there's a picture of me at 16 years old. I was taller than him. arguing with him, me with my finger in his face at 16. I'll send it to Ivan for him to send around to you guys if you want to see it. But that said that they were pursuing herd immunity in the initial weeks. They were talking about herd immunity in the initial weeks. And we know about the stories of when they first had the meetings and who wasn't in those meetings and who was in those meetings. And there was just a lot of mess. And now we're also in a lot of mess with all these COVID contracts that have been given out, millions of pounds being given out to people who are mates and buddies. Now, I don't necessarily disagree with when you get somebody, help your other people out, like, even though they're already of a beneficial place, but do the job properly. Do the job properly. We're seeing contracts, COVID contracts being handed out to friends who have just set up their own companies, who have just set up PPE companies, then the material isn't done properly. So yeah, that's all I'll say on that before I become too problematic and too much of a troublemaker, but I'll keep my mouth shut.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. We are about to wrap up. If there's time, we've got time maybe for one more question, but if not, we will finish here. Is there one final question from anybody? No? Okay, I guess not. Jermain, Penny, thank you so much for your time today. It's really been appreciated. And, you know, just you guys coming onto the Spiela community, sharing your experiences, telling us your ins and outs and your keys to success and the things you've been through. You know, I know for myself, I've learned a lot, and it's always a pleasure listening to Jermain. And of course, Penny, and getting to know you over this time and just how welcoming and friendly you are has been great also. So no, I'd like to personally just thank you and to Spiela community, and we welcome you to the community as well. And we hope to have you again in future. If you two have any final words or anything, please do share the floor is yours.
Yeah, no.
I just want to say thank you for the invitation. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for
Having
joining.
me too. Thank you.
And you too, Jermain. It's been great having you. And I'd just like to thank you all, our Spiela community that have joined the call as well. Thank you very much for all of you that signed up on the site this week and became members. Well done. Hey, welcome, welcome. For those of you that haven't already, I don't know what you're waiting for, because you're
Come on.
Yeah, sign up, get your friends to sign up. We're growing our community daily, which is fabulous. And we're going to go for our soft launch. We've redesigned the website. If you haven't jumped on lately, please, spiela.co.uk, jump on, take a look, create an account, and just let us know you're with us, because we've got some good things coming in the next couple of months. So thank you.
So I hope you guys are all staying COVID safe. Have a wonderful evening, everybody. Have a good night. And yeah, we'll be in touch soon with more correspondence. Take care, everybody. Have a good evening.
Take care. Bye, everyone.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm just going to say